Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Flame Sports Podcast. I'm Andrew, along with Kareem and Dean. And 4 days from now, 2 years ago, was quite possibly the greatest play in Miami Dolphins history, the Miami Miracle in Miami versus the Patriots to keep our playoff hopes alive. Now, we did not make the playoffs or anything like that, but it definitely helped. And quite honestly, I cannot think of a greater play. Maybe the fake spike, but I I remember I was sitting there. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, because it was such a good game. Gostkowski had really choked. He had missed like a PAT and like 2 field goals. So that's 7 points right there that the Pats should have had, but he didn't get it. But he missed them. So I was like, oh, 7 seconds left. There's no way. Tannehill had come out of the game with a shoulder injury, so we had to rock with Matt Moore for a drive or two. And then, Tannehill came back in, and then they said Gronkowski was the safety, and I was like, wait, why would they do that? Tannehill can't throw the ball 70 yards. So anyway, the hook and ladder from Stills to Parker to Drake. But I rewatched the highlights of that game because I just wanted to, and it was really weird. The first Miami touchdown, the announcer said to Kenny Stills, he was like, and Stills has the angle. And then the last play of the game, the miracle, he said Gronkowski didn't have the angle. And I was like, oh, that's pretty funky. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. I'm sorry to all you Pats fans, including my dad. But let's get right into it with the NBA. We've had some major news go down, including a big trade. So, Kareem and Dean, why don't you guys go ahead and start with that?
All right. So in the NBA, obviously, the big news is that Russell Westbrook was traded to the Washington Wizards for John Wall and a first-round pick. And I think this is really good for the Wizards because they needed something there for a long time. And John Wall has been hurt for quite some time, so they needed a guy like Westbrook to go there. And I think if you're John Wall, you still got to be excited. You're leaving Washington, a team that has struggled for quite some time now, and you're going to a functional team in Houston, who always is considered as a possible championship contender. Next, we obviously the NBA schedules were released, and the first round of COVID testings for the NBA ended up in around 48 positive COVID tests. So that is not good for the NBA, but obviously all the teams, well, really every team is staying except for Toronto because obviously they can't. So they moved to Tampa, and they've got their New Jerseys set. And yeah, that's really it for the NBA news. I'm going to pass this one back over to Andrew.
Alright, I'm definitely excited to see Westbrook on the Wizards and John Wall on Rockets. I'm gonna try and get into the NBA a little bit this year, so yeah. So on to the NFL. And one thing I said last week that it was a trap game for the Rams, and I was correct. I am a genius. 10,000 IQ plays. Alright, that's all I wanted to say about last week's game. I mean, really, there were no surprises. I guess the Cardinals beating the Pats. There was a really not a unnecessary roughness call. It was an unnecessary roughness call. Cam Newton was still in bounds. You can still hit him. It's not like he hit him on the head or anything, or led with his shoulder. He got hit into the out of bounds area. They threw the they threw the flag, and I was like, I'm not so sure I agreed with that, which set up the Nick Folk game-winning field goal. But, I mean, I do not trust the Pats, even if they do make the playoffs. I get it, it's Belichick, but it's Cam Newton. Also, granted, he played really well in the 2015 playoffs, but he choked in the Super Bowl. There was no, and I don't even think they were going to make the playoffs. It is a very small, very, very, very minuscule chance that they make the playoffs at this point in the season. They are 5-6. They would practically have to win out with how good the AFC is. The 7th seed as of right now, the Dolphins are 7-4, and with only really maybe 2 or 3 losable games for the Dolphins. Um, uh, and to the Chiefs next week, and then to the Bills week 17. The Pats were going to have to win out, and they still have to have some tough games left. So I just don't see any world in which the Pats make the playoffs. So very happy about that. I hate the Patriots. So on to the next game. We have the Falcons and the Raiders. And this makes me a lot more confident that the Dolphins can beat the Raiders week 16 on Saturday when the game was rescheduled to. But the Falcons are now what, like 4-2, 5-2 under Raheem Morris, and I definitely think he has a chance to be a head coach next year. Whenever his contract with the Falcons is up, whether they want to, make him the head coach, like permanent head coach, they want to promote him or anything like that. Other teams like the Jets need a new head coach. The Texans, although the Texans have really started to play well with their new interim coach. The Lions are going to need a new coach. Other teams might as well, depending, who all gets fired. I definitely think Raheem Morris is a guy that, with how the Falcons have been playing recently under him, he's definitely a guy that has a chance to, be a big signing for a team that, just needs a good head coach. Yeah, Falcons blow out the Raiders like 43-6. Derek Carr played plain and dry, simply horrible, like 2 interceptions. Yeah, big win for the Falcons. Not gonna make the playoffs or anything with how their season started, but now they're just ruining their tank, to be honest, to get a good draft pick. Now they're gonna be, out of the top 10 probably. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Falcons fan, I mean, at least you're playing well, I guess. But yeah, next game we have the Titans and the Colts. This was a high-scoring game with about a total of 70 points scored. It was like 45-26, something like that. Derrick Henry 3 touchdowns, AJ Brown 2 total touchdowns, a receiving one, and a onside kick recovery touchdown. Not too often you see that. So that was pretty cool to see. Good thing I started.
Know a lot about that.
Yeah, come on, man. 2 weeks in a row, you kidding me? Come on now. But, yeah, so the Titans look really good. They're looking like the team from last year. But I think this just gives them momentum. They're now in first place of the division at 8-3. If they win the division, I think they have a very good chance at, making it to the AFC Championship game. Because if they have to play, the only team that they could lose to is the Chiefs. I very easily see them beating the Steelers or the Colts if they have to play them, or the Dolphins or the Bills, any team except for the Steelers. So I'm very excited to see what that team can do in the playoffs. And as for the Colts, you just have to continue to look forward to next week and find a way to rebound and, continue your playoff push. So that's going to do it for the recap. But we wanted to do a new thing, the top performers. This was actually something that we wanted to do from the start. We didn't quite know how to do it, so we have found a way to do it. So let's get right into it. We're going to go 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a D lineman, a linebacker, and a secondary player, which is cornerbacks and safeties, and then 1 kicker as well. Kareem, if you guys want to do the offense, I'll do the defense and special teams. Does that sound good?
Yes, no problem. All right. So, quarterback, we're going to give this one to Patrick Mahomes, who obviously had Tyreek Hill on his side, who also will be one of the top performers. Mahomes had a 135.4 QB rating, 3 touchdowns, and 462 yards. That's Hall of Fame status right there. I can't see this. I mean, I think this guy already earned a spot in the Hall of Fame if he plays one more year like this. But Mahomes never plays a bad game. It's really hard to imagine him having a bad game. So yeah. The running back, obviously, we're going to give this one to Derrick Henry, who pretty much had all of his stats in the first half. 27 rushes, 178 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. He also had 2 receptions for 7 yards, which gives him a total of 185 scrimmage yards. The second running back who played on Thanksgiving Day, Antonio Gibson, who also had a great game. 20 rushes, 115 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. He also had 5 receptions for 21 receiving yards. Obviously, wide receiver, we're going to give that one to Tyreek Hill, the first wide receiver on this list, who had 13 catches for 261 yards. I mean, it looked like he was going to break or set an all-time NFL record, but he quieted down a bit. But he ended up having, obviously the Chiefs won that game, no problem. Well, you could argue it was no problem against that Buccaneers team. But
Yeah, I mean, it came down close. But number 24, who was number 24 for the Bucks? Like Carlton Davis or something like that. He was getting burned all game. There was some points in the second half where he would stay back so that way he didn't get burned over top. That just proves to you how good and fast Tyreek Hill is.
All right. So for the second wide receiver on this list, this is going to be a very, very controversial choice. We're going to give this one, even though he did get suspended for the rest of the year, Will Fuller. I don't get it. Who had 6 receptions, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, you can't argue that Jarvis Landry belongs here because Fuller did get suspended, and Landry was the third best receiver this week. But I mean, we're basing it off of this week, right? Not like in the future. He's suspended for the rest of the season.
No, but the only reason he did well was because he was on drugs. That's the only reason he did well.
But still, stats.
Hey,
listen. Stats tell you he was We're gonna go off of stats.
Stats told you that he was on drugs. That's what the
stats told us
that. No, the stats told you that he was on drugs and he did well because he was on drugs.
No,
that's what happened.
Stats didn't say he was on drugs. Stats said.
Nah, I mean, Dean, I'm gonna have to go with Kareem on this one. I think. Because really, if you think about it, like Will Fuller, yes, he did test positive for PEDs, but I still think that he still would have done the same thing versus that battered Lions defense. I mean, even if you don't want to, give it to Will Fuller, we will gladly give it to Jarvis Landry or maybe even Devontae Parker, who had over 100 yards. Kareem, I'll give it back to you to finish up the offense.
All right. So, tight end. We're going to give this one to the tight end, Dallas Goedert, who plays for the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles are getting Zach Ertz back, which is a huge push for them. But last week, Dallas Goedert still played really well. He had 7 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. So, big game for him. We're going to give this one to Andrew now to talk about the defensive top performer picks.
Yes, the defense. Defense wins championships, and if you had these guys on the same defense, I think you'd be pretty good this past week. We're going to go 1 D lineman, 1 linebacker, and a secondary, like I said, and then for special teams is 1 kicker. So for the D line, we're going to give this to Joey Bosa of the Los Angeles Chargers for the against the Bills. Chargers, I'm not going to say much about that game. Horrible clock management by Anthony Lynn, the Chargers coach. But anyway, on to the stats for Joey Bosa. 8 tackles, 3 sacks, and a fumble recovery. Joey Bosa, he's very, with, all the names like Aaron Donald, other guys, who are the big names in the NFL, you sometimes forget about Joey Bosa and how good he is. He has been very good for a long time, and, he will continue to be good for a long time, I think. And then for linebacker, maybe a guy you haven't necessarily heard of, we're going to give this to Tyrell Adams, also played on Thanksgiving for the Texans. He had 14 tackles and 2 fumbles forced. I think that's very impressive. So, no sacks or interceptions or anything like that. But 14 tackles is still very good. For secondary, we're going to give this to Panthers rookie safety Jeremy Chin. 2 fumble recovery touchdowns on back-to-back plays. That's just unheard of, man. Like, name me the last time someone did that. Like, I don't think you can. I don't think it's ever been done. So Jeremy Chin, very deserving. If you had the Panthers defense for fantasy, good job. You know, you got 2 defensive touchdowns. Now for kicker, we're gonna give this to Young-Ho Koo of the Falcons. Now, he is on pace to be the league's highest scorer. He had 5 field goals made from all ranges of distance, a few from 30 to 39, 20 to 29, and 1 50-plus yarder, and also had 4 PATs, but when your team scores 43 points, your kicker is expected to do good, and that is exactly what happened in the case of Young-Ho Koo. So that's going to do it for the top performers. If you have any ideas, on how we could change this up or, anything like that, please let us know in the comments below. So on to the NFL news. The big one is Will Fuller, wide receiver for the Texans, and cornerback Bradley Roby being suspended 6 games for using performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, whatever you want to call them. This is a massive blow to the Texans. And now the fact that they're going to lose their number 1 corner, their number 1 wide receiver, it doesn't even help. It doesn't help them because now there's, really no chance they make the playoffs. And 2, they don't even have a draft pick in the first round, so it's not like they're going to finish top 10. That pick is going to go to the Dolphins for Laramie Tunsil. So I think this was just a major lose-lose situation for the Texans. You lose your 2 of your top 10 players, maybe top 15 players, and because of that, and now you don't even have a first round draft pick on top of it. So I mean, obviously not good for the Texans, but even worse for the players, because now you're gonna be worried about Will Fuller, who this is his contract year. He was putting up big numbers, on pace for over 1,000 yards. He already at 879, but I mean, this is just very bad. Next news, we have Josh Gordon for the Seattle Seahawks being reinstated for the NFL. Now, he cannot play until week 16 of the season, so he'll be getting ready for the my bad, for the playoffs, the last couple weeks of the season. But obviously, we've all seen what Josh Gordon can do. We know he's a good player. It's just he needs to stay off the suspended list. Like we were saying a couple weeks, about a month ago now, maybe a little bit more, when the main rumor was that Antonio Brown was going to go to the Seahawks. I almost said Mariners there. But now you have Metcalf, Lockett, and Gordon as your 3 wide receivers. That's just a deadly combo. I think that puts them in. They were already in the top 5 offense, but that might put them in the top 3 offense now. Now, their defense, on the other hand, has played better on the last couple of weeks, but it is still atrociously bad. So, even if they do make the playoffs, I don't know how deep they can go. I think, I think they would lose to the Saints. They might lose to the Packers. So I think this is a good thing for their offense, but now it's kind of like who really cares at this point, because their defense didn't improve, and that's the big part of it. So, if you guys got anything to say about those 2 news pieces, go ahead.
Yeah, we all know about Will Fuller. And
I
Bradley
still don't know
Roby.
how he got MVP. You saw. I just can't wrap my head around how you can give a guy. You see how his stats from last year compared to this year. They're off the charts this year because he was on drugs, because he was on steroids.
Yeah, but last year the Texans had DeAndre Hopkins. Remember that?
Yeah, but he was still a big name player. But this year he was off the charts and he was on drugs. I don't know how you can give a guy MVP for being on drugs and doing good because he was on drugs. He played well because he was on drugs.
Can you stop? Okay. So, I mean, Josh Gordon, right? So, obviously, I'm a Browns fan, so I'm happy because, he was my favorite player back in those days, like 2014, when he was Megatron's, biggest threat for best receiver in the league. But, I mean, if he gets on the suspended list one more time, that's it. That's it for his career.
He's had too many chances.
I'm pretty sure he retired at one point.
Yeah, he got suspended for 4 years.
And then he retired, and then he came back.
I don't think he did that. I don't think
really
he did
hope
that.
he can, because he's a good receiver, but he's wasting his own talent. He's got to find a way to stay off of the suspended list and obviously off of the commissioner's exempt list. But, I mean, I don't know. If one more time, that's it. I really hope he gets it together and gets back on his feet, because ultimately, he still is one of the most. Yeah, he's one of the most talented receivers.
I mean, yeah, except for the Week 17 game versus the Steelers. Remember that? He cost him the 0-16 season. Yeah. You brought up the Dolphins.
Corey Coleman.
Oh, I thought that was Josh Gordon.
No, the dude dropped the wide open pass.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
Corey.
Oh, dang! I thought. Man, I really wanted to be Josh Gordon. You know. But so anyway, yeah, that's really it. There weren't a whole bunch of news pieces. Really, no injuries. Christian McCaffrey's probably coming back next week. We got Myles Gaskin for the Dolphins coming back this week probably. Only real injury is notable injury is Tua Tagovailoa. He will probably be out this weekend, and when you're playing the Joe Burrow-less Bengals, there was no point to rush him back. Now, if this was the Week 17 game versus the Bills, yeah, because you can't be having Ryan Fitzpatrick throw 2 interceptions in a maybe if you win the division type of game. So, yeah, that's really it. And now on to the rapid game predictions. Let's go ahead. You guys wanted to talk about the marquee matchup of the week, which is going to be the Browns and Titans. I'm excited for this game. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of a preview, and then we'll hop into the game picks.
All right, so obviously this is going to be our game to watch. A lot has come out of this game, obviously. Bad news for the Titans. Jonnu Smith ruled out for this game, so that helps a bit with the Browns' banged-up secondary. Myles Garrett, big news for the Browns, activated from the COVID list earlier this week. He will be starting.
Yes.
Some more bad news for the Titans. They're 3-3 in their last 6 games, which includes a win against a really bad Bears team, a loss to a loss to the Bengals, which no disrespect, but they were not, even with Joe Burrow, they were nowhere near. They weren't breathing playoff air. So they lost to the Bengals, and they beat a very subpar Ravens team. So
yes.
These are all things that are going to help the Browns and give them more confidence. Also, Myles Garrett, we are anticipating a big game for him because the Titans are down to their 3rd string left tackle, who will obviously be lined up on the same side as Garrett. So I think if you're Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator for the Browns, you've got to keep Myles Garrett on that right end so he can go up against that left tackle. Some bad news for the Browns, obviously. I mean, we were expecting this. Denzel Ward won't be playing. 2nd week in a row, he's out, obviously, with that calf injury. And our players to watch are going to be A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, Myles Garrett, and Nick Chubb. Obviously, this is a matchup between the 2 best running backs in the league, both carrying their teams. Both teams have a very similar style, run the ball, keep the offense on the field longer, and then, get the ball on defense and then go home. Obviously, the Browns have a banged-up secondary, and Olivier Vernon is playing out of his mind. So, this is all we have for this game. Obviously, one more thing is that Baker Mayfield, if he I'm confident when he has the ball in his hands. He hasn't thrown a pick in the last 4 games, which is something he's never done across the course of his career.
He also has only thrown 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but they were both last week. So I think he's steadily building confidence. I think Stefanski and AVC or AVP Alex Van Pelt are steadily growing confidence and running their offense through Baker, and growing Baker out of a game manager and making him a real threat as a quarterback.
Yeah. Also, the Browns defense last week played a lot better. With a surprising one, Andrew Sandeo played a very good game last week.
Maybe he was listening to when we said he was, playing horribly.
He saved the game. Obviously the pick didn't count because he was out of bounds, but he did not let the receiver catch it, and he had
that is something.
Thrown his way a lot, and I think the reason being because the Jaguars were watching game film and they saw that he's not that good of a safety, but I think Sandejo knew this was coming, so he brought his A game, and he actually did. And with the Sion Taki, Myles Garrett, and I'm pretty sure Ronnie Harrison's coming back this week too.
No, he's not. He's on IR.
He is still.
Yeah.
I thought they said he was
so.
back.
Yeah, that's what he said. Also, I forgot to say, Sione Taki, who obviously had the big pick 6 against the Eagles, will be coming back and will be starting at linebacker.
So I expect a big game from the defense today. At least one. Not today. Tomorrow. At least one pick, maybe a fumble, but.
I don't know, man. That Derrick Henry doesn't fumble.
I do expect, I think, 1 or 2 sacks. All for Myles Garrett, because when he's on the field, he's the one getting all the sacks most of the time.
Yeah, so for game picks, I know we talked about all these things are going to help the Browns, but I'm still going to go with the Titans, just because I think the Browns haven't grown their offense enough to just because they're not going to be able to just run the ball every single game. It's just like Lamar. 1 year he's great, and the next year defenses are figuring him out. So this is good for the Browns because Baker is getting more confident. But still, with the banged up Browns defense, I think the Titans are gonna take this game. I think Derrick Henry's gonna have a big one.
Okay, Dean, what do you got?
I think. I know it may sound biased, but I have to go with the Browns here. With the Titans defense hasn't been playing like the Titans defense.
Yeah,
they don't have Logan Ryan.
Yeah.
A big time cornerback.
They lost Joel Casey.
They lost Joel Casey. So I think Nick Chubb and the Browns have to have a field day and really need to pound it. I think it's going to be such a close game.
It's going to be an ugly one.
I think it's going to be separated by a field goal. And I think the Browns can take it. I actually, I'm going to stay neutral on this one because I do really think it can go either way.
Yeah, it's going to be an ugly one for whoever wins this game. It's going to be a bunch of old school, run the ball, send heaters to the quarterback, hit him as hard as you can. It's going to be an ugly win for whoever wins, but it's sure going to be a nice one.
Yeah.
I am going to go with the Titans on this one. I think even though you were spotlighting all the things for the Browns, I just think even with Olivier Vernon and Myles Garrett, I still think that the Titans are going to have to they're going to have to change their game plan. Because without Denzel Ward, they're going to have to go, because they lost their speed guy. Now that leaves room for A.J. Brown or Corey Davis, who I'm predicting to have a good game this week. I think I'm going to go with, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be close. It's going to be an ugly win, but the Browns just haven't proved themselves they haven't really beaten a good team. Granted, except for the Colts. Their record is 8-3, but are they really 8-3? Same with the Steelers, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans. So you made me angry as a Dolphins fan the past couple of weeks. I'm gonna hit you right back. Baker Mayfield hasn't been worth the first overall pick. Okay, they should have gone with Yeah. What is it?
I'm gonna go back to saying the Browns because the Bengals with Corey Davis lost to a Bengals team, barely beat
by multiple scores.
Barely beat a Ravens team who has been playing not good at all.
No, but here's the thing. It's their offense that hasn't been playing well. Their defense is still a top 5 unit.
Yes, but their offense isn't playing well, then the whole team's not playing well because their team's built around their offense.
Well, here's the thing. So one other thing for the Titans is their star secondary player, Adoree Jackson, is listed as questionable. Looks to be a game time decision. We're not sure on his status.
But that's why they got Desmond King at the trade deadline. Don't forget about
Desmond King. And that was a very good.
it. Was a very good pickup. But yeah, Kareem and I are going with the Titans. Dean's going with the Browns on this one. And let's get into the rapid fire picks like we've done the past last week, I guess, because 2 weeks ago wouldn't work. So anyway, we're gonna start with the Dolphins and the Bengals. This should be an easy one for the Dolphins. No Joe Burrow, no Joe Mixon for the Bengals. Dolphins, even without Tua, it should be an easy game for the Dolphins. And if we lose this, we don't deserve to make the playoffs. That's all I'm gonna say. What do you got?
Yep, I'm going to go with the Dolphins again. Easy win, in my opinion, against obviously badly banged up Bengals team. Yeah, I mean, how can the Dolphins lose this game, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I have to go with the Dolphins too. It should be an easy one. I expect Devontae Parker to have a big game,
Especially with Fitzpatrick
I'm starting
back
him on
there.
my fantasy team, so I hope he does.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I have to go with the Dolphins on this one.
Raiders and the Jets. Jets 0-11. Very bad team. Gonna get Trevor Lawrence. They're gonna lose this game. If they win, I will be very happy because then that means the Dolphins. Because then that only means that the Dolphins and the Browns move up in the playoffs. But yeah, Raiders
Browns are still the number one wild card team, though.
What?
Browns are still the number one wild card.
they're still
but-
fifth.
Yeah, Raiders are gonna win this one pretty easily. It's the Jets. Kareem, Dean, what do you got?
Yep, we're gonna go with the Raiders both here too. I mean, yeah, big loss, huge loss for the Raiders last week. But I expect a bounce back. John Gruden and his staff are gonna, rewrite the game plan because obviously nothing worked against that Falcons team who was ready for anything. So yeah, this should be an easy win for the Raiders because this was perfect for the Raiders. They can calm down now. They can relax because they're playing.
Yeah, they have a good break here. It's practically another bye week.
Pretty much.
It is. Like, why even play?
Yeah, why even play? All right, next game. Yep. Next game we got the Jags and the Vikings. I'm gonna go with the Vikings on this one. Even though Dalvin Cook is a little banged up, he is expected to play. He's been a top 3 running back up there with Chubb and Henry. So the Vikings should win this one versus a 1-10 Jags team, and it is a race for the number 1 pick between the Jags and the Jets now.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with the Vikings. Is Adam Thielen hurt or is he back?
No, he's back. He's back. He was back last week, I believe.
Dalvin Cook, obviously. Yeah, this should be a good game.
No, it should be in a blowout. It should be a blowout at least.
It should be a blowout. But Mike Glennon, is he playing or is it gonna be Lennon?
I think it's Glennon. It is Glennon. So he played well last week.
He was surprisingly accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was just surprising that they had the other quarterback. I keep forgetting his name.
Jake Luton. Yeah. But
I think it's surprising that he was actually playing well and they didn't start him last week or this week.
Because he threw 4 picks, that's why. But anyway, yeah, we've all got the Vikings on this one. But just a note from the Browns-Jags game last week. This is the second time that the Jags have lost because of a missed 2-point conversion. They lost to the Texans, in Luton's first start. And then they lost to the Browns because they didn't get a 2-point conversion. Now, Colts and Texans, without Will Fuller, without Bradley Roby for the Colts, or for the Texans, this should be an easy game for the Colts. Brandon Cooks, good job if you got him in your fantasy leagues. He is now the number 1 wide receiver in Texas. So yeah, this should be an easy game for a very good Colts defense. Who do you guys got in this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts too. For all the right reasons. If you're a Texans fan, you're blaming this season on Bill O'Brien. I think you want to keep Romeo Crennel next season. But yeah, this should be a good win for the Colts.
This will get their confidence back up if they can win.
Definitely. Yeah, I have to go with the Colts this week too against the Texans. The Texans really haven't been playing well against any team, even if they're good or that bad. So I have to go.
Well, I mean, they did have that huge win against the Lions.
Yeah,
the
but it's the
Lions-
Lions without Kenny Galladay and
Yeah.
without DeAndre Swift, so yeah. Speaking of the Lions, we have them up next versus the Bears in Soldier Field. These are just two very bad teams. Now, granted, the Bears' defense is still very good, but a few notes: Kenny Galladay has been ruled out, and DeAndre Swift is doubtful now. Just came out a few minutes ago, but I'm gonna go with the Bears just because that defense is too good. They're going to be able to stop Adrian Peterson or whoever is the lead back in Detroit without DeAndre Swift. No one knows how to answer that question. But Lions are just a very bad team. Poor Matt Stafford. He does not deserve Detroit, or Detroit doesn't deserve him. One of the two. So I'm going to go with the Bears on this one just because the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pull off a Dean here. I'm going to go with neutral because I think both of these teams have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. Bears still have, on paper, a really good defense. Kendall Fuller, Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks. It's surprising how poorly they've done. I mean, what were they? Were they 5-0 in the first?
Yeah, they started 5-1 and are now 5-6.
Yeah, they lost. So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go neutral because.
This game is really just a toss up. I just went with the Bears because the defense.
I don't know what to say here. This is a very tough choice, so I'm gonna go neutral for this one. I have to go with the Lions on this one. And before we go to any more breaking news, Raiders linebacker Vontaze Burfict has been arrested for battery. Hopefully we can get more updates on that next week, but I do have to go with the Lions against the bad Bears. They do still have Khalil Mack.
Yeah, and Eddie Jackson. But anyway, we have Saints and Falcons. Now, if the rumor is true and Bree's injury was only a 3-week injury, this might be Taysom Hill's last start. But if it's a questionable decision, if you don't want to risk Breeze getting hurt, I'm pretty sure the Saints have a pretty easy matchup next week. So Taysom Hill could play next week again, but I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. Even though the Falcons had a huge win last week, the Saints are just too good of a team. Even without Breeze, they still got Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, and Jared Cook, who have not been involved in the offense. It's mostly just been a Taysom Hill running show. Granted, they didn't have to do much last week versus Kendall Hilton and the Broncos, who took 30 minutes to complete a pass. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. I think it's going to be a close game, but, I still think the Saints are going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints here too. I mean, if Taysom Hill keeps doing what he's doing, I mean, this guy. I mean, once Drew Brees retires and the Saints hold on to him, he could be a serious dual threat quarterback for this team. I mean, obviously he's got great speed. He's shown that he can throw the ball. While he has missed his fair share of passes, I mean, he's still developing. He's still got a chance to be Drew Brees' successor in New Orleans, but yeah, I think the Saints take this one.
Yeah, like Andrew said, it's really been a running game for Taysom Hill. I'm just gonna keep it short. The Saints, yeah, they're gonna win the game.
Giants Seahawks. I think the Giants will lose first place in the division this week after falling 4-8 to the Seahawks. Seahawks offense is too good, even though that defense is horrible. It should be an easy game. Giants will not have Daniel Jones. That is one injury we forgot about. Hamstring injury. Will probably be out for a couple of weeks. That means it's up to Colt McCoy to under center for the Giants, and it's not going to be pretty, but the Seahawks are going to come out with the win here.
I'm gonna say the Giants win this game. I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, hold on for a minute.
Seahawks win this game. DK Metcalf, I mean, if you got him on your fantasy team, kudos to you. You're a great drafter. But DK, he's gonna have another repeat of a game like he did against the Eagles. I think he's just taking more of that motivation, about what Jim Schwartz had to say about him and the whole Megatron thing. He's just using that as more motivation, in my opinion. So yeah, obviously he's going against a really, 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 really bad Giants team. Shit, who for whatever reason are still in the race for the playoffs because they're obviously horrendous division that doesn't deserve to be in the NFL, and obviously the NFL's TV ratings are down because of it. Most likely because nobody wants to watch that horrible division. But yeah, I mean, it should be like a breeze.
It's gonna be multiple scores.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think the Seahawks can beat them by at least like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I think
that sounds about right.
honestly. Um, I mean, I just can't see any way the Seahawks lose. If the Seahawks lose,
Seahawks lose, they deserve to lose that division. Yeah.
Colt played with the Browns
Yeah.
in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colt McCoy, not very good. Not very good. He was one of Washington's, 7 starting quarterbacks last year, at least. Or maybe it was, 2 years ago, whatever. But next we got the Rams and the Cardinals. Rams coming off a tough loss to the 49ers. Cardinals coming off a tough loss to the Patriots. And I think this should go to the Rams. Their defense is too good. I think this might be, this is going, and you know what I just realized? DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey will be going up against each other. This hasn't happened since Jalen Ramsey went to the Rams. I mean, I think it's going to come down to the number 2 and number 3 wide receivers for the Cardinals if they want to win this game. Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald. And for the Rams to win this game, it's going to take a good defensive effort. Cannot let up the deep ball to Kirk or Hopkins. That defense with Aaron Donald is just too good for them to lose to the Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Rams.
I don't know, man. I like the Cardinals in this one. I think the Rams are coming off of a trap game against the 49ers last week. I think the Cardinals are. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a good game. Obviously, as you said, Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, and they've got what's his name, Kenyon Drake, and they've got Chase Edmonds. So I mean, I like the Cardinals in this one.
I'm gonna have to side with Kareem on this one. I have to go with the Cardinals. I just don't think the Rams defense can keep up with 3 amazing wide receivers in Fitzgerald, Hopkins, and Christian Kirk, and having Kyler Murray at quarterback, who obviously will be rushed by Aaron Donald, but Kyler Murray has been playing amazingly this whole entire year. The Cardinals have had a couple of silly losses, especially that one to the Patriots, which I don't think anyone thought was going to happen. But I do have to go with the Cardinals in this one.
All right. Next game, we're going to have the Pats and the Chargers. Chargers are coming off a loss to the Bills. Pats coming off a win versus the Cardinals, like we said. I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one. Joey Bosa, I think, is going to have another good week. Justin Herbert should be able to, play well, but I think it's going to come down to, just like the Cardinals game, it's not going to come down to Keenan Allen, who's going to be on Stephon Gilmore. It's going to come down to their number 2 and 3 wide receivers, Mike Williams and Guyton. I'm not sure what his first name is.
Mike Williams is still a really good receiver.
Yeah, but Austin Eckler, who came back last week, is obviously going to help. So I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. Should be a close, pretty close game in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers too. I mean, I think that Austin Eckler coming back last week obviously didn't help him win, but he had a huge game last week. And I mean, I think that was a big boost in confidence-wise for the Chargers. So by all means, I guess I am a Patriots hater, but I don't care if the Patriots play a team like the Jets. I'll say the Patriots win. I say the Chargers, which they will, but Chargers win this game. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, that Guyton dude. Yeah, that Chargers are going to win this game.
Yeah, I got to go with haircut Justin Herbert taking the Chargers to the dub. I mean, can we just talk about that hair? That's like the worst haircut.
Listen, that happened a while ago.
I know, I can't get over it. It's the worst haircut ever. But just based on how the Chargers have been playing, they've had some ups and downs, but I think Justin Herbert can rally win here, so I have to go with the Chargers.
Next, we're gonna have the Eagles and Packers. I think this is going to be a cakewalk for the Green Bay Packers.
Yup.
It's not even gonna be close. It's gonna be 3 scores. It's gonna be a horrible game for the Eagles fans. Eagles fans, I would advise you not to watch this game.
Yes. I'll watch it.
You just don't have. And if you are gonna watch it, expect to not have a good time. That's all I'm gonna say about that one. Packers win it easily.
I'll tell you, Adams, if you have him on your fantasy, you're expecting like 10 million points from him this week.
Yup,
Aaron
yes sir.
Jones, if you have him on your fantasy team, you're expecting 10 million points this week.
Yup.
By the way, I have him on my fantasy team.
Hey, I got both of them.
Listen, I'm this is the game. This is a win or go home. If I win this, I'm in the playoffs.
Oh,
So,
good luck.
I guys to do good for me this week because I'm very nervous, but I'm hoping Aaron Jones is going to have a monster game. If you're an Eagles fan, just like we said, do not watch this game because your team's going to get destroyed. Here's what I think. If Carson Wentz scores, it's going to be a 4-touchdown win for the Packers. If Jalen Hurts starts, it's going to be about 3. I don't get what Doc Peterson is thinking. Who is Doc Peterson? Whatever his name is. What's his name?
Doug. Doug Peterson's job is actually in jeopardy. And I think, granted, he led them to a Super Bowl. It's they haven't been good since.
Okay, Doc Peterson. Anyway, I just is Doug Peterson on something? Has he not seen how tragically Carson Wentz has been playing?
I don't know.
You have a good quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks coming out of college, on your bench just waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, and so much for extra playing time last week. He only got in for 2 more snaps than he normally does.
If you have one of the top quarterbacks sitting on the bench that came out of college,
what are you doing?
Give him this game.
Yeah, you guys aren't gonna make the playoffs, so just give him the rest of the season. So anyway, that's maybe you guys kept ranting about Andrew Sandejo earlier. Maybe the Eagles becomes a ranting topic every week. Next game, Broncos Chiefs. Chiefs are gonna win it. There's just no way the Broncos win this game. Granted, they will have their 4 quarterbacks, or 3 of them. They won't have Driscoll, I don't think.
One Kendall Hilton.
Kendall Hilton. But so anyway, yeah, Chiefs are gonna win this one. It's easy. They 10-1 versus 4-7. It's just not. It's not gonna be a good game for the Broncos. Broncos fans, don't watch the game. You're gonna get blown out.
Please don't. It's just we need this. We need this every week. We gotta give our caution take going. Caution to Broncos and Eagles fans. Don't turn NFL Sunday Ticket or Game Pass, whatever you're gonna watch the game on. You're streaming. Don't turn it on because you're gonna be sad. It's gonna be a sad Monday for you. You're gonna not have a victory Monday. You're gonna have a losing Monday, and I don't want that for Eagles and Broncos fans because it's been a horrible season for both of them.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, everything is turned for the worse for both teams. Obviously, with Kendall Hinton having to play a game, and I mean the coaching in Philadelphia has just been horrible.
Yeah. All right. I think we're all going with the Chiefs on this one. Pretty easy. Yeah. All right.
Upset for the Broncos. I call upset. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, actually, I am gonna call upset in this next game. We will have 2 Monday games and a Tuesday game. But I'm gonna go with the Washington football team over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And hear me out. The Steelers are known for playing down to their opponents, and it's mostly been the defense that's winning the games. Their offense, granted, they are scoring points, but they're gifted with great field position. Almost every single drive they score. So, here. The Washington football team has the number 1 pass defense. James Conner had tested positive for COVID. He probably will not play this week. That's going to leave Benny Snell, who's averaging 3.2 yards per carry. Horrible. Versus Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Ryan Kerrigan and whoever else for Washington. And then the number 1 pass defense, they're going to be able to cover Ebron, Juju, Claypool, Deontay Johnson. And the football team offense, granted, they have a game manager in Alex Smith in at quarterback. Their running game has come alive the past couple weeks with Antonio Gibson. Even Peyton Barber had a good game against the Cowboys. So, I'm going to go with the Washington football team on this one. I'm sorry, Steelers fans. I think this is going to be a good game. I'm excited to watch it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to go with a close game. I think the Washington football game might win this by a field goal, maybe a touchdown.
Now listen, what I think will happen is the Steelers will win this game in a close one. But best case scenario for me as the Browns fan and my opponent having Terry McLaurin, Washington wins, but Terry McLaurin doesn't get involved a lot. That's best case scenario for me, which is not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it could if the Steelers defense can lock them down, but really, who's going to be covering them? Because all their cornerbacks are, pretty old at this point. It's Joe Hayden. They might have to put Minka Fitzpatrick one-on-one with him. And we all saw what Marquise Brown did to Minka last week on Trace McSorley's touchdown pass. Trace McSorley will be starting. So anyway, I'm gonna go with football team.
You do bring up a really good point, and I really want to go with the football team, but the Steelers are so good. But I'm gonna go with the football team in this one.
Hey.
Based on how the Steelers played last week. Wow.
Yeah, they played horrifically against the Ravens.
Quarterback. That's what Andrew was saying. They always play down to their opponent.
They're known for it. They were this close to losing to the Cowboys.
The Eagles. They were that close to losing to the Eagles.
Yeah, it was a close game versus the Eagles.
They have to, and I think they will. The Washington football team can beat this fluke undefeated Steelers team.
Yeah, they've had some very easy games that have been very close. So, I think everyone's they look at the records. 11-0 versus 4-7. Oh, come on now, it's not even gonna be close. But no, it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be within one, less than 8 points. It's gonna be one possession game. So, now the other Monday game, the originally slated Monday game, Bills versus 49ers. This game will be played in Arizona due to California's new physical or contact sport COVID restrictions.
It's bad.
Yeah. I still don't see the 49ers winning this one. It's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be very close. I think the Bills are gonna win this one. Even without John Brown, Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs is just gonna be too much. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, granted, they're not having the best years, but they're starting to get more involved as of late.
Zach Moss did have that 1 week where he did.
Yeah, versus the Pats with 2 touchdowns. But I think the Bills' defense will be able to do enough to get this win.
Yeah. Hope the Bills win this game because I have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. So obviously I'm biased towards my fantasy team like I have been all of this week's episode. So I need the Bills pass game to be on point this week, and I need them to really do a lot with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this really shouldn't be that hard of a game. I mean, just the embarrassing 49ers team. You go from Super Bowl, being in the Super Bowl, to having a losing record the next year. I mean, they have been killed with injuries.
That is true. Nick Bosa, Garoppolo.
Nick Bosa, your Kittle.
Yeah.
But I mean, no way the Bills don't lose this game.
You mean no way the Bills lose this game? You just said no way the Bills don't.
I mean, there's no way the Bills lose this game.
Unless something horrifically happens, like an injury of some sort.
Yeah, better not. I have to go with
the Bills. Yeah. Next game, Dez Bryant. Granted, it would have been so much cooler if it was in Dallas, but no, it's going to be in Baltimore. We got the Cowboys and the Ravens, and this are just teams that are very, just letdowns. They have been this year. But I'm going to go with the Ravens, and one reason only is because they put up a fight against the Steelers with RG3 and Trace McSorley. And I'm calling it right now, if Trace McSorley started that game last week, the Steelers would be 10-1 right now. Hate me all you want for saying that right now, but I don't think that's too crazy to believe. He played very well. He did have some bad throws here and there. He had a dropped interception that should have, bad throw. But, that's going to happen to everyone that just doesn't play, who hasn't played in his entire career up until this point, which has been, a year, almost 2 years now. But the Ravens defense should be able to stop Zeke and Amari Cooper, and I just have I'm not going to say that I'm confident in this pick, but I'm, it's going to be, some games are, 50-50. This game is more, 70-30,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the upset. The Cowboys.
I don't think it's much of an upset.
Well,
Yeah, because, some people are saying the Cowboys are going to win, some people...
If you look at the start of the year, and you're marking your prediction for the season. This is an upset. If you pick the Cowboys, this is an upset from the start of the season.
Yeah, from the start of the season.
I know nobody was expecting the Steelers to be this bad. Or well, they're not bad.
You mean the Ravens? You mean the Ravens? Yeah.
Ravens to be to underperform this much. So I'm gonna go with the upset because I want the Ravens to lose. That's really it.
Yeah.
Chris McSorley is good. I love him. I love the song.
No, the meme.
But I don't know, man. I think he hasn't played enough to have the experience to beat any team in the NFL, frankly, except for the Jets. Even though he did put up a fight and help the Ravens against Steelers,
I have a bold prediction for this game, actually. I have a bold prediction. Dez Bryant scores a touchdown and throws up the X. I'm calling it right now. Yup, Dez Bryant. The X Factor. Dean, who do you got?
I'm going with the Ravens for multiple reasons. I mean, look at Trace McSorley, man. Look at how he played last week. I know there's a whole thing about the song or whatever, but he actually played really well. And Dez Bryant is inviting his old buddies into his new house, so I think he really has to control the game against his old team. He's playing against a quarterback that he received for. He playing against his old running back. He's playing against his old team.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be an emotionally driven game for Dez Bryant, to play again and against...
Yeah, the team that basically just abandoned him. Yeah, he was still putting up good numbers.
And they just let him go.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with him. They deserve him. So I have to go with the Ravens in this game.
So... teams on the bye, this is the last week for teams on a bye. We got the Panthers and the Buccaneers, last week for anyone on a bye, barring any, COVID things, but we got the Bucs and the Panthers. I think this is going to be a good week for the Buccaneers to, just hit the reset button. You've lost a couple tough games now. I think this is a time for you to regroup, get your offense back together, and, work on not getting burnt over top by a fast wide receiver. So, that's going to do it for the NFL portion of the segment. Now, onto the MLB. We've actually had some news due to free agency. We've had some, the tenders and the non-tenders. Here are the non-tender, big names that have been non-tendered. We've only really gotten 5, 6 or so. For the Baltimore Orioles, we have Hanser Alberto. Now, this is a guy that's going to get high contact. He hit above 300 last year. He hit around 290 over a full 162, I believe, 2 years ago. This is a guy that isn't going to hit a bunch of home runs, maybe only 10 or 15 or so, and maybe not even. But he's gonna be a good contact guy, and if you're a team that is known for hitting home runs, he will be a nice pickup to put in, at the bottom of your order. I think he will be an underrated guy in free agency, so I'm excited to see where he goes. I hope he does good. Next guy, very surprising. One of the more surprising ones, we have Eddie Rosario from the Twins. Now, granted, he did not have a good 2020 at all. Give it up to COVID or whatever you want. Plain and simple, he did not play well. We've all seen what he can do. 2019, the Twins team, which set the record for home runs and something like that. But I think I think this is a guy that can go into left field every day. He's an above average fielder, I guess, but he's not gonna make any amazing plays, but he's a very good hitter. He's gonna hit above, right around 270. He's gonna hit 20 plus home runs, driving 80 or more. So he was a lot of fun to watch and with the Twins and Nelson Cruz and Miguel Sano, but yeah, I think he's going to be a hot name in free agency, and I'm excited to see where he goes as well. Next guy, Adam Duvall for the Braves, and from the Braves, I guess formerly of the Braves, but this is a guy who hit 3 home runs twice this year in only a 60-game schedule. He hit 3 home runs in one game once in every 30 games. That's something you don't hear every day. So I think this is just a move because now they want to get Christian Pache in. And because Nick Markakis is only getting older, I think Pache will take over, and he will be an everyday outfielder for the Braves now. But if he isn't playing well, they still got Markakis. But I think Duvall will be a sneaky pickup. He's definitely not going to be in the field. He's probably going to be a DH. He's not horrible in the field, I guess, but he's also not great. But I think this is going to be a sneaky pickup for whoever signs him. And next from the Cubs, we've had 2 surprising ones, Kyle Schwarber and Jose Martinez. Jose Martinez, he's known for clobbering home runs. That's what he did with St. Louis, the Cardinals. Not much to say about him, but Kyle Schwarber is the main guy that I want to talk about. And he's not gonna hit a bunch of average, 230 around there, but he's gonna hit 20 plus home runs, driving around 70 runs, which is good production for a guy if near his 30s, if not already in his 30s. It's a horrible fielder. He would be a DH wherever he goes. So obviously not a bunch of rumors about where they're gonna go or anything like that because it's only been a couple of days now. But that is going to do it for the MLB portion. Really nothing major, only the tendered players and non-tendered players. So that is going to do it for this week's episode of the New Flame Sports Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like what we're doing around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Share these videos with your friends, family, whatever. And we'll see you next week. I'm very sorry if your ears exploded watching this video. I was sitting way too close to my mic, when I was recording. I will try to fix this next week. So yeah, like I said, I'm super sorry you had to listen to that. It will be fixed for next week.